We're talking about the father of a boy who was incessantly bullied at a Markham school. And he's looking for answers. Kirk Sutherland is enraged. The teen who repeatedly beat up his son, Fraser, is being allowed to return to Brother Andre Catholic High School after being expelled for his bad behavior. Well, that bullied boy's dad also feels dismissed by the York District School Board, a group he says has been largely absent from the discussion so far. So for more on this, we are joined live on the phone by Kirk Sutherland, Fraser's father. Good to have you here with us this morning.
Good morning, Alex.
I have to say that I thought that a little bit of exposure on this would have had the board change its mind, but seemingly they have dug in their heels. Where do things stand right now?
Well, I think it's a real cowardice situation, to be honest with you. It seems like they're no longer near their phones, and they're no longer accessible in the hallways of a building that, as a taxpayer, I pay for. They're basically hiding. They're hiding in their little cubicles in the little rooms, and they're sending out their spokesperson, who really, to be honest with you, is not the person who makes decisions. I don't know how many more phone calls I have to make to try to discuss in a very calm, sober way. And that's all I've ever tried to do. But it's quite something when you go up there and you see the mission statements from Susan LaRosa, the chair, about how our children are our number one priority, and how safety and a nurturing environment is so important. I'm paraphrasing, but they're everywhere. This woman, in my time dealing with the school, I've phoned her 11, 12, 13 times. I think I've only got a hold of her once a few years back. A very simple, quick conversation. You can't talk to these people. They're too high up, and they're too busy.
Yeah, I mean, our Menzies has tried several times to get them to comment or justify why they are taking the position they are, and he's been brushed off, pushed out of the building, and basically given the you know, the soundbite, the 8 seconds that they're allowed to say. So you have taken it upon yourself, I guess, to hire a lawyer.
Yes,
What's your next move, and how do you see this thing playing out?
Well, I mean, I'm seeking legal counsel. I mean, I was there the other day with David, with May Moore, and I said to her, does a parent really have to go this far? Do we really have to, as a taxpayer and a parent, have to go to this extent to make change happen? And we have no other choice. If they're not willing to talk to me, and they're not going to compromise, they're going to put all the conditions down for the oppressor. But as far as my son is concerned, you know, he's the one that they believe is really the problem, and he should just go to another school.
Of
we
course.
ought to just leave. Then you know what? I have no other choice but to take action from a higher order.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the onus is always put upon the victim, but that seemingly is what the case is here. Laurel Broughton is the education minister here in the province, and where does she stand on this? Because I'm not sure her feet have been held to the fire on this. I mean, they just passed legislation, as you well know, in Ontario for a zero tolerance policy on bullying. Is that only for certain schools?
Well, it sounds like it. It sounds like, depending on the board, depending on the individual. I don't think these people are very well schooled in legislation, and I don't think they're very well schooled in the day-by-day politics that happen at Queen's Park. I'll tell you that right now. Even my discussions with them, they kind of didn't have a clue what I was talking about. They're in their, I said they're in their little cubicles, but they sincerely are. They're in their own little world. They don't know what's going on outside of their world, and legislation would dictate that. But nope, they haven't been schooled. In any other situation, you would definitely have a crash course. You would have your personnel come in, and they would at least, you know, give them the information of new informations that they're going to have to be guided by. But no, I don't think they have a clue. It's just business as usual up there, and business as usual is closed doors and phones that don't work.
Well, the phones sure work in this newsroom, as does the email, and this is a story that's garnered a lot of reaction. A lot of people are simply outraged at the fact that this is happening to you and your family, especially your son. A Facebook page was started up, and it's alleged that the bully came on that site and has been defending himself every which way he can, even though the site was set up for your son.
Well, unbeknownst to us, I mean, I'm talking thousands
Yep.
Thousands of people have emailed me, my son, contacted me by telephone, have talked to me on the street. And there was a woman from Durham who put up a site, Stand Up for Fraser Sutherland. And it was a support group.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Alex, a support group is a support group. You join a support group if you're in support of something.
Yep.
Well, on the weekend, something very strange happened. We went on the support group just to read some of the comments. My son does that in order to thank people. Like, thank you very much, you know, and keep your battle up. So many people are saying, we're going through it too,
Mm-hmm.
and Fraser's like, you know, we've got to work together on this type thing. Well, I noticed a picture of somebody very familiar, and another picture of someone very familiar. This other kid that was an accomplice, so to speak, throughout the thread on this Facebook page, also bullied Fraser and admitted to hitting him on the actual site.
Mm-hmm.
So here you have a kid who's supposed to be the oppressor. He's supposed to be reformed. I was told by the school board he's a reformed person. He feels terrible remorse for what he did, and he'll never do it again. And basically, he's a changed man, and he's a model citizen. He gets on the site as a third person, explaining how wonderful a guy he is, and then he outs himself, saying, it's me. I'm the so-called bully. Mm-hmm. And then he goes on and on and on about how they just berate Fraser. They basically call Fraser's anything and everything slanderous right down the line. And he mentions, I don't know, I wouldn't even want to know. I have rafts and rafts and rafts of paper here of him just going on about how he's never done one thing. So that isn't in any way, shape, or form remorse. That's denial.
Yeah.
So the board doesn't make any. The board tells me one thing, the kid's doing another.
Yeah.
There's obviously no reform or an individual that's been rehabilitated. He's not rehabilitated. He didn't think he did anything wrong.
Well, we certainly haven't given up this fight here, and I invite, of course, the thousands of viewers and readers of our paper who have contacted you, Kirk. We invite them to contact the Education Minister, Laurel Broughton, as well as the school, and continue this fight. Please join us again. Tell us how things are going down the road.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Thank
Kirk.
you very much. Take care.
That's Kirk Sutherland, father of that bullied Markham boy, Fraser Sutherland.